Well, good morning and welcome to our talk. We have some valuable information today.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Here's the lesson for today, or here's the ear capturing message for today. Listen up. Listen up. We have some very, very important, critically important information, not only for our seniors, as it may sound like, but even for younger folks too. So we were digging around and found another great article in the AARP magazine, and this one comes out of, it was March, right? It was out of the March 2016 issue of the AARP, and it was entitled, is it 4 Reasons?
4 Reasons to Treat Your Hearing Loss.
4 Reasons to Treat Your Hearing Loss. So this is actually really, really close to both you and I, right, Dr. Jennifer?
It sure is.
Yeah.
We're dealing with this every day.
Yes, we are.
Mm-hmm.
So before we talk personally, you want to share with us some of these 4 reasons here. What'd you find?
Oh, well, what really amazes me is that, the hearing loss, if you're not able to hear a conversation, you're missing out on little bits and pieces. The person who has hearing loss starts to feel left out of a conversation or not feel connected to what's happening with people, and then it eventually leads to depression is what we're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty severe depression, feeling isolated from other people. So I thought that was really sad. Did you want to talk about that?
Yes, I do. Actually, this at the time of this show, I'm 47 almost and a half, so I'm on the younger side for somebody with hearing loss, but I definitely have hearing loss. And I think that was first presented to me by my dear lovely wife over here, and that's what I found in the article too. Same thing we found is oftentimes it's not the person with the hearing loss who discovers it. It's a loved one. And so why don't you, I'll bounce it back to you. What did you notice about me that really irritated you?
Oh gosh, just not being acknowledged, not feeling heard, but feeling like you weren't paying attention to me, or that we talked about something and you're acting like I never remember you saying that. Like just feeling like you should have been aware of certain things that we had talked about, and you're like, I don't remember that at all. And as it turns out, it wasn't that you didn't remember; it's that you couldn't hear what I was saying.
Right. Well, there might be some memory issues there too. I'll admit.
And there's a connection too.
But in the article here, it also talks about hearing loss and the connection, the connection there with not only depression, but memory loss. But not only is it just memory loss, it's brain loss. There's so many critically important things here.
Right.
As I studied for this show, I was so convinced that this hearing thing is really, really important that I actually went and had an audiologist check my hearing out, and he was surprised, really surprised, like, wow, what were you in the military? Were you in a hard rock band? Did you listen to heavy music? Did you shoot guns? And I was nope. Did you operate heavy machinery? Nope, none of the above. He was really lost, and he said I had moderate to severe hearing loss on the left side, and I have been noticing that. I noticed that when I put my right ear in the pillow, I can barely hear you. I mean, I really can't hear you.
So much
Yet when I put the good
pillow talk.
Yeah. Well, when I put the left ear, the not good ear, in the pillow, then I seem to hear totally normal, and it's really getting scary. So the audiologist said this is so bad that although I think hearing aids would be good, it's unusual considering your age, and also unusual considering it's one side. And he started listing a bunch of things that it could be. He was careful to say, well, I don't want to give a diagnosis, but you should really get it checked out. So that led me to research further, and then why don't we go ahead and talk about some of these important things. So for you who are listening, turn up the volume so you can hear this one. This is really important, guys, okay? So what are some of those 4 reasons?
Okay, so hearing loss is not something you have to live with, nor should you. In fact, treating your hearing loss can help you avoid serious health problems, maintain your confidence and productivity at work, and protect you from everyday hazards. So it's interesting that it talked about those different items. So there's the staying happy, staying sharp. So how well you hear affects your brain's ability to perform at its peak, according to several recent studies. Through the link between hearing and brain health is not fully understood, studies show that hearing loss accelerates age-related brain shrinkage
Mm-hmm.
increases the likelihood of cognitive impairment, and puts you at greater risk of dementia.
It's true. The research does say that.
So, hearing loss, according to one theory, burdens the brain with an excessive amount of cognitive load. In other words, when you have to strain to both hear and understand what's being said, your brain suffers as a result of that heightened effort. It's possible that handling impaired messages changes some of your brain function. So that's according to Neil DeSarno, Chief Staff Officer for Audiology at the American Speech Language Hearing Association.
Yeah, and let me just butt in right there. So I've done that research, and that's not the only piece of research that says that with regard to cognitive load. But I've done my own personal research as well, if you will, and that is totally true. When I'm talking to you right here, you're about, a foot and a half away from me. You're looking at me. I can see your lips. I can see your expression. I can read your face. I can make contextual, I can figure things out contextually. I can easily decode what you're saying. We're also being cautious to enunciate so our listeners can hear us. This is easy. This is actually really easy for them. The environment in here is in the studio this morning is nice and quiet. Not a problem whatsoever. But you add any bit of background noise, a TV, a radio, some other conversation, God forbid we're in a restaurant or kids yelling at a park or something like that, it makes it really hard, and you're farther away. And if somebody comes up, like my staff does it all the time, they come up, Dr. Brian, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I heard the Dr. Brian, I didn't hear anything else. They still haven't figured it out. You got to get my attention. I got to swing my head around and look. But this is exactly it. And I was talking to my father, who's 70, I think I got that, 70 years old. He said, I have the same thing. I said, do you like to turn the volume up? Of course, yeah, we both do. I said, I like the hearing impaired. The captions at the bottom, do you like that? He goes, oh, if I have those, it makes life so much easier. He's to the point, and I'm not there yet, but he's to the point, he doesn't even like to go to the movies. He doesn't really prefer to watch a movie because, and here we go with this not only cognitive decline, but we become reclusive.
Right.
Right? Because it's work. It's actual work for us to decode these noises called voices that are coming at us.
Right.
We are having to decode, well, we all do, all humans do. We have to decode what these sounds are.
Right.
It's so much more effort for us. And this was actually almost relieving to me to realize that what I thought was memory problems, and I think it is, but it says in here, I don't know if you got to that, but it says sometimes memory problems, like somebody will tell me a name, hi, I'm John, and then bam, it seems like it's in one ear and out the next ear. And what it says in here is that it may not be a memory problem. It may be that you're just working so hard in this conversation that you're not even utilizing your memory centers because you're trying to decode everything. You're trying to hear what they're saying and make sense of it.
Trying to sort through all the other sounds that are coming in. And
it's actually quite remarkable the way not only the human ear, but the brain works. We're hearing all these sounds. I mean, and there's other languages that could be, like click, 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 clack. And all of these sounds is taken in by different areas of the brain. That's the temporal lobe and then up to the frontal lobe. And those lobes and other areas of the brain is decoding what these noises actually mean and making words and then making meaning of it in a split second.
Right.
So it's remarkable. So my father, myself, and maybe even you, the listener, we are having to work so much harder. And that's called the cognitive load. And this constant strain is stimulating and overstressing the brain, and that's what can lead to cognitive decline, meaning things like memory loss, okay, and then ability to decode and ability to make sense of things.
Right, because as your brain is focusing on decoding, it's missing other cues that are going on around you and other input that's coming from other people.
It's really hard.
So
it's really hard.
Right. So
here's the other thing. Sorry for interrupting, but here's the other thing. If we're able to hear less, like in my case, definitely on the left ear, and I have some on the right ear as well, but if we're able to hear less is getting into the brain. That means those areas of the brain, in particular the temporal lobe that's picking up that sound, that's picking up the stimulation, gets less stimulation. So it's analogous to, say, wearing gloves all the time. If you wore gloves all the time, you're not going to get the stimulation that normal people do when you're walking around without gloves on. When I'm walking around, I'm touching this magazine, I'm touching the radio controls, I'm getting good stimulation. And those areas, the corresponding areas of the brain that feels that is getting stimulated. And when something gets stimulated, it grows to make sure that it can continue to figure stuff out. And if those hearing centers aren't getting stimulated, guess what? They die.
They shrink.
They shrink and they die. It's just like a muscle. If you put your arm in a sling and you
Cast,
don't
right.
use your muscles, then it will atrophy.
Right.
The same thing happens to the brain. So let's go to number 2, and I can just say, yeah,
So
that's
before we
true.
go on to number 2, just going to put you on the spot, but you have ways of activating certain parts of the brain that isn't necessarily directly through the ear canal. Or you can help activate parts of the brain that have shrunken or decreased function because of the lack of stimulation through other pathways to the nervous system.
Sure you do. Yeah, everybody does.
So you have used vibration or use eye lights or something.
There are
like
ways
other
of doing it,
windows
Dr.
to the
J. I mean,
brain.
we can use things like for specific ways of using the retina, through glasses that you wear that have specific flashing lights on them. You can use vibration therapy for sound and that sense of touch as well. But there's nothing as good as hearing. So
Right.
I
So
gotta
hearing
tell you, and this is somebody, you guys, who have resisted this for a very long time. Getting a hearing aid is going to be the best way, because if you can, and the hearing aids now don't just amplify it. It's not like it's just turning it up. It doesn't do that. They can actually boost certain areas. Like I have a pretty significant, like I said, moderate to severe loss left ear in the high pitched sounds. So if you think of like consonants like C and T and other a G and things like that, if I'm unable to hear those, then that's going to make it particularly hard in higher pitched sounds, like say female voices, like voices coming from the wife or kids
Your
or
whole
other
staff.
things. Yeah, or you know what I miss out is like when I got somebody on the laser, it has a timer on it and it goes beep beep beep. I can't hear it. Well, luckily I have a staff who can, who hears it, and they say, "Are you going to get that?" I'm like, get what? I can't even hear it.
Right.
So the best way to preserve your brain, or at least that area of the brain, is going to be a hearing aid. you
So
wanna
I'm going to
have
put
that
you on the
sound.
spot again.
Again?
Because you actually did get hearing aids a while back. And what were some of the reasons that you were resistant to getting a hearing aid? Because I'm sure a lot of people relate to what you're talking about. And if you
well-
could go back in time,
Mhm.
and do things differently than where you are right now and what you've observed with how the hearing has affected you, what would you do differently?
Okay, so I see what you're doing is you're closing the deal on having me get another set of hearing aids right on the air.
That's
Put me on
right.
spot. Got it. Wow. She said, we're talking about hearing today. I was like, oh, okay. Okay. So
Are you hearing me, babe?
right, here is the, yeah, I'm hearing you. All right, here's the bottom line. I'm just going to open up,
Tell
be an
your
open
story.
book. Be an open
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
I'm 47 years old, you guys. Who at 47 years old wears a hearing aid, right? There's the whole stigma. Now, also, even at 47 and a half years old, my dang vision is going. I think I got pretty good smell, so I got that left, and I got pretty good taste, and I can move well. I run and all that, but wearing a hearing aid, I don't know. Wearing glasses, everybody kind of thinks, oh, he wears glasses. I put glasses on and tried them and took pictures and sent them to my kids, and they said, oh, you look smart. You look like a wizard. You look like a scientist. Wow, you look smarter. I don't know, something about glasses. You put glasses on and everybody thinks you look smarter. You're a brainiac. You're a scientist or something. What is it like when you put hearing aids on? There's a stigma. Well, you're older, right? You're an older person. You're a senior
Only old
citizen.
people wear
Only
hearing
old
aids.
people wear that. And so I'll be honest. I wear my hair short, and so I can't cover it up. So I'll be straightforward with you. It's a vanity thing. It's like, I don't want to be perceived as old, okay? But I need to get over that. They do make the kind that go inside the ear, and I really need to preserve that brain of mine as long as I can, as I hope to have several more decades left.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the darn things, the things that go in the ear, they're really pretty sharp. Does take some getting used to, but I lost them because on the one hand, the good news is that they're small, and you can't see them that well. But on the other hand, they're small.
And you
And
can't
they
see
go
them
in.
that well.
You can't see them that well when you're
When
losing
they're
your
out of the
vision.
ear.
And they come out of the ear, and you put them in your pocket or whatever. And some of those little suckers are expensive. So
Yeah.
let's finish up. I hear you, babe.
Okay.
But let's
all
finish
right.
up with some of this other
next
really
time
important
you
things
listen, he's probably going to have some really great hearing
here.
going on.
Next time you listen, I'll probably be able to hear you well. But wait, we got to take some call-ins and test my hearing.
Oh my goodness, that would be fun.
So where are you on that?
So
Two
yeah,
more.
so that's the Stay Sharp segment.
While you're looking at it, I have another article that I found. I think it was in the same one. I think this is this is Vigor. This is out of UVA, and Oscar nominee actor Mark Ruffalo. You may know him because he was the Hulk. All right, Mark Ruffalo was the Hulk, and long story short, he ended up getting some hearing loss. The story says, and he had what ended up becoming a benign tumor in the ear, and that's what the audiologist. One of the things he was saying is that you really need to get this checked out, Brian. Mm-hmm. To make sure it's not, an acoustic neuroma. They said of all brain tumors, it's benign and it's slow growing, but what it does, it grows around that inner ear. And what it can do is it can basically clamp down or not allow the acoustic nerve, which is the hearing nerve, to work well. And he had a pretty significant surgery, which is kind of scary, but he had a surgery that, major surgery, went into his skull and they removed it. Well, he had complete hearing loss. He had hardly any before, and then he had complete hearing loss. He still has complete hearing loss. But then he also got facial paralysis because another one of the nerves, the cranial nerve number 7, which is very close to number 8, which is the acoustic, is right near there, and somehow they clipped it, and it's part of the potential risk of getting that surgery. But now UVA is talking about how they have gamma knife surgery and they can pinpoint and isolate it and all that. But the other downside of an acoustic neuroma is they're slow growing, but they can grow and they can do damage too. So if you're finding you have hearing loss out there, you're in the same boat as me. You actually have hearing loss, Dr. J, as well.
Oh yeah.
So if you have it, I guess I'm really talking to myself. I need to sit on the other end of this radio here, and you should really get it checked like I did. And then in my case, I'm going to need to get to an EENT and just rule out and make sure it's not something big, bad, and ugly.
And there's a lot of resources right here in Charlottesville that offer free hearing tests. A lot of the hearing centers and Costco and Sam's Club and the pharmacies often have free little health screenings, and you can get free hearing tests and get an opinion and see
you guys,
what's happening.
It's worth it. It's really painless.
See if there's a concern that it's something structural, or is it something that you can start to remedy right now and preserve the brain function that you do have, and then also to be able to prevent, depression.
Yeah.
And one of the pieces of this article, the 4 things, is safety. Obviously, if you can't tell where sound is coming from, or you're missing cues of a honking horn, or somebody saying, "Hey, watch out," and you can't hear them, or you don't know where watch out means, because I have that problem because I've had hearing loss on one side. And I'm always like switching my head back and forth. Where'd that sound come from? Where'd that sound from? You know?
That's right.
So safety is a big issue as well. So you have decreased falls and injuries and accidents if your hearing is improved. So that was the.
That's true. That's true.
And then of course it talks about staying at work. So untreated hearing loss will cost you to the tune of about $30,000 of annual income, according to the Better Hearing Institute.
Well, I need to get that fixed in that case. Come on now.
That's an easy boost.
Jeez.
That's it. You get your money back on that hearing aid.
The price of the hearing aids has come down quite a bit too.
Yeah.
I mean, they can be expensive for sure, depending on how fancy you get, but they've come down. They're not cheap, but they've come down.
Yeah, they've talked about that. That tech can get awfully expensive. Top-of-the-line hearing aids cost thousands of dollars, but balanced against potential lost income, you may save money if you get the right treatment. Your ability to work brings in more than just income. It brings self-esteem and satisfaction, says DeSarno. Your ability to function your job will impact how satisfied you are with your job and how satisfied your employer is with you. And if you're an employer, how satisfied, your clients are and your coworkers or your employees.
Yeah.
So it's safety and it's production and it's not allowing your brain to shrink and trying to stay sharp. And then, of course, the depression. So those are the 4 things that this article covered. So.
Yep. So I guess we're talking to me. Well, you need to get your hearing checked too.
I did, hon. He said I'm good.
What did he say?
Yeah.
You said your bad ear is not that bad?
He said, because of the history of the surgery I had in that one year, that it's, I can get a little bit of a boost if I put an amplifying hearing aid in.
She has the hearing of a bat, I swear. Wait, do bats hear?
No,
bats echolocate. They don't hear. They echolocate. Oh, blind as a bat. Yeah, so bats have good hearing, and they're able to echolocate. Anyway, so with your hearing loss, being that it's over like maybe 30 years, what's remarkable is her bad ear, I guess, isn't really that bad. But what's really cool is that her good ear has actually increased its ability to hear. So this is good news, bad news, because little, shrieks that, of course, don't irritate me whatsoever, but they don't even irritate the kids or anybody else. You're just like, it's too loud. Like if I were to whistle for the kids, wee, she's like, that's killing me. Don't do that. So, but it's amazing though. You have some hearing loss on the right side, and then the left side can compensate
Supersonic,
for it. And so
yes.
so she has like supersonic hearing on that good side.
Yes,
But then
good thing I have
again, you
good
said
range of motion in my neck, right?
well, that's because she said she has a hard time echolocating her phone when that rings. Where's the phone? And I'm like, I don't know why. I seem to be able to locate pretty good, even with the hearing loss. But it's like, it's right there. I can hear it. So you have to have two ears. The brain is just
That does
remarkable.
help.
It's
It
just so
does.
amazing how it's
Yes.
able to do that.
Yeah.
So I hope this has been helpful. We're going to need to start wrapping up. We had another really fun time here, and again, I hope you're hearing us. Did you listen up today?
Yeah, don't postpone anymore. I know my dad waited way longer than,
Yeah.
just as a kid, and my dad just is like, he never hears me. I have to repeat myself 3 times. And then eventually, I've seen our kids do this too. They just
Yeah.
like, never mind. And,
Yeah.
You're really missing out on stories and, being,
Going to their orchestra
involved.
performances and plays and all that. I'm the guy with two hands behind his ears, I need to have those clamshells like what they had on the Western, the old days there. Maybe a hearing aid would be better.
I think that, if you worry
I got to
about your
get checked.
vanity.
The hearing aid guy said, "Hey, get your hearing checked, and then
Yeah.
if the EENT says it's okay, then come on back and we can really help you out." So,
Yeah.
so hey, if you're listening today, you may have it, you may not even know it. So it's a good idea to get it checked. And like you said, places like Costco, Evolution Hearing with Dr. Koch, I've done some talks with her. Most of these places that I'm aware of, most of them offer free checks.
Right.
And they're not pushy. They're really not. If you have hearing loss, they're not going to push you into getting the hearing aids. They're really good, just good. So for free, it takes, 30 minutes of your time? You should just get them checked. Get your hearing checked for the sake of your brain and your family and your significant other.
Yes. Great show, honey.
Well, okay, guys, yeah. So any comments?
Oh yeah,
you wanna-
so always, we're always welcoming questions. Email them in or find us through our website at chroniccarecharlottesville.com.
Yeah.
You can contact Dr. Prax that way,
Yeah.
myself. And also, these podcasts are always available on the website
Yep.
Through the station.
Yep, and check out my YouTube too, guys. I'm putting up at least 1 or 2 a week. We got some good content on improving your vitality and health. Well, it looks like we ran out of time. I look forward to speaking with you. I want to say seeing
Visiting
you.
with you.
Look forward to visiting with you next week. Have a great week.
Have a great rest of the weekend.